my name is Matthew Barrett, and I am thrilled to tell you about my new book with IVP called Canon, Covenant, and Christology. Sometimes when I talk to Christians or even scholars and ask them about the inspiration of Scripture or God's divine authorial intent throughout Scripture, evangelicals will usually go to Paul and his instructions to Timothy, telling Timothy that all Scripture is breathed out by God. But when I ask about Jesus or the Gospels, I don't always get the same response. And sometimes this can create quite the crisis. Do Jesus and the Gospel writers have the same view of Scripture as, say, Paul or Peter? In this book, I argue that they most definitely do, but we don't see it in quite the same way. We actually see it in a very different way. Inspiration, God's intent throughout the whole canon, how does it come up? How does it surface to the top? Well, when we read what Jesus says and what the Gospels say, in light of the promise and fulfillment tapestry across the whole Old Testament, and when we consider how that tapestry is brought to fulfillment through the various covenants that God puts in place, and how his covenantal word then is brought to fulfillment in Jesus Christ, then suddenly our eyes begin to open. It's not just what Jesus says in the Gospels that reveal what he thinks about the Old Testament canon and the covenantal word that he himself is bringing to fulfillment, but it's also what Jesus does as he, much like Adam, as a second Adam, brings that covenantal word to fulfillment by his perfect, righteous obedience, covenant obedience. He not only cuts a new covenant by his own blood, but he tells us something incredible, extraordinary about what he thinks he is doing and fulfilling those scriptures and what he thinks those scriptures are to begin with. I can't wait for you to read this book, not only so that you understand what the scriptures are, but so that you are turned to Jesus Christ and you see by nature of who he is, what he believes about the canon and the covenants that he is bringing to fulfillment.